Another one of my favorite people in Oklahoma history, and a man who really showed another theme of our personality, which is adaptability, is Charles Colcord. Some people may know the name because of the Colcord building, now the Colcord Hotel. But Charles Colcord is one of those frontier spirits who drifted around the frontiers looking for opportunity, who would do well for a while, then lose it all, but start over and make some money and lose it all. But this adaptability of changing to the times, of looking for opportunity, of dealing with challenges as Robert M. Jones had done, but turning it into something greater. Charles Colcord was born on the eve of the Civil War. His father, a Confederate officer, lost everything in the war. Charlie, at a very young age, 11, goes west to live with an uncle in the wilds of Texas, where he becomes a cowboy. And so instead of studying in school every day, he's on the back of a horse, chasing cattle, learning how to rope and shoot a gun, and to take care of himself. Charlie was a big man, over 6 feet tall, rough and tough, and loved the frontier. Never would go back to school, but very articulate, a natural-born leader. Well, Charlie gets involved with frontier businesses around the region. In 1875, he takes a herd of horses and mules from central Texas, wants to get them to Kansas, where farmers are settling, and there's a market for horses and mules. We think this is the first time that he enters what would become the state of Oklahoma on the Chisholm Trail, driving that herd north. Well, he ends up in Kansas for a while. He gets into open-range cattle industry as part of the Comanche pool of ranchers who are leasing lands in the Cherokee Outlet and in Kansas. He moves to New Mexico and tries a ranch, comes back to Wichita for their real estate boom in the 1880s. Basically ends up without much in terms of resources. But in 1889, he hears about another opportunity, again adapting. His cowboy skills are becoming less important as the range fills up with farmers, but he hears about the land run. On April 22nd, 1889, at high noon, 50,000 people would gather around the unassigned lands, largely from Stillwater on the north to Norman on the south, Shawnee on the east, El Reno on the west, and they would run for free land, 160-acre farmsteads or town lots. Charlie's going to do it. As a cowboy, you might expect he'd be going for a homestead. Charlie's looking for something new, adapting. He comes to Oklahoma City. That day, at high noon, it's opened up for settlement. By that night, there are 10,000 people on our town site, from North 7th to South 7th, from the Santa Fe tracks to Walker. Charlie Colcord is one of those guys. Well, he gets involved with everything that's happening in Oklahoma City, becomes the first chief of police. Tough and big, he knows how to fight, wears a big 6-shooter on his hip. He can stand up to the gamblers and the cowboys and these ruffians. So he becomes the chief of police, does well, makes contacts, becomes the first elected county sheriff in 1890, makes contacts, builds networks, does well, starts investing, becomes a U.S. deputy marshal. In 1893, still looking for opportunity and adapting to changing times, he looks around. Oklahoma City is contracting. We're losing population. There's a drought. Not much is happening here. The new land run is to the north, into the Cherokee Outlet. He says, I'm going to try it. He makes the land run and settles in Perry. He thought Perry, Oklahoma was going to be bigger than Oklahoma City in 1893. So he settles in Perry, still a U.S. deputy marshal, gets involved in local politics, buys and sells farms and real estate, and uses this natural ability to make some money. By 1900, he's accumulated $50,000 in assets. At that time, a sizable amount of money. He looks at Perry where it is, staying the same size. He looks back to his original place of settlement, Oklahoma City, and he sees it growing. The Frisco Railroad had built in from the northeast in 1897. Farmers and ranchers on the southern plains are doing very well. All of their products are coming through Oklahoma City. It's a railroad hub. It's beginning to grow. Charlie cashes out, sells all of his property in Perry, moves to Oklahoma City, and starts buying real estate. He can't do anything with $50,000, so he puts it all on the table, rolls the dice, says, let's try again, let's adapt to the new times. So he starts buying real estate, starts building houses, makes a lot of money in real estate, buys lots from Henry Overholser at the corner of Grand and Robinson, today Sheridan and Robinson, where the Colcord Hotel or the Colcord building is. That was that land he bought in 1900. And he gets involved in investments and makes a fortune. Oklahoma City goes from 10,000 people the year he moves here, 1900, to 64,000 people by 1910. Fastest growing city in the entire country. And Charlie is there just as it's really getting going, makes a fortune. Well, in 1905, one of his real estate buddies is up sniffing him around the oil patch in eastern Oklahoma. They discovered oil in 1898 at Bartlesville, 1901 at Red Fork, so they knew it was there, but no big fields yet. So Bob Galbraith, one of his real estate buddies, goes up. He's out looking for a pack of dogs who have been out hunting, and he ends up on this little farm of this Creek family that had just received title to their land, and with title to the land they could sell their mineral rights. Bob meets them, and walking around the place, someone knocks a piece of sandstone off of a bluff, and out comes oil, like the Beverly Hillbillies, but set in Oklahoma. Up comes bubbling crude. He says, hey, there may be oil in this property. He calls Charlie on the phone and says, Charlie, I think I found oil. I can get a lease, but I need the money to get the lease, to hire the crews, and to drill. Charlie said, go for it. I'm behind you all the way. So he invests in this oil venture. The first well, cable tool, comes in about 50 barrels a day. Not bad, but not great. They move over a little bit. They sink another well, 500 barrels a day. Good, but not great. They move over a little bit more, drill again, 5,000 barrels a day. The land is owned by a woman named Ida Glenn, a young Creek woman. This begins the Glen Pool oil field. Charlie's money made it possible. Charlie starts getting all this oil wealth. Today, Reading and Bates, Helmerich and Payne are two companies established by his sons-in-laws. In the oil patch, they're still the leading drillers in the world. The technology of oil are in the Arabian Gulf and South America all comes out of this tradition. Charlie Colcord, born a poor kid dispossessed by the Civil War, becomes a cowboy, the land run, law enforcement, real estate, oil. All of this is adaptability. It's looking at the changing times and using your God-given abilities to take a chance, to roll the dice, to invest in your community. Charlie Colcord did it. He helped build this state.